Hello, I'm Emre Tuncbilek. I'm with AppSamurai and I'm the head of people, culture, and happiness.
Emre, thanks so much for making time to join us on the Avi podcast. Before we dive in and talk a lot about the current company that you're building, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're currently based at, and just the overall thumbnail version of your career.
Sure. I'm currently based in Istanbul, Turkey, and my background is a mixture of computer science and business. I'm mostly entrepreneurial, and I have an MBA degree. So I look at things from a business and technology perspective, but my focus is building people and culture for scale ups within the mobile and media industry.
Oh, that's super exciting. And have you been based out of Istanbul most of your career, or geographically, agnostic? Just tell us a little bit more
Yeah,
about it.
it was an adventure. So I was in Turkey, and then I moved to Hawaii
Wow.
for some years to get an MBA degree. After that, I worked in San Francisco for a long time for a Japanese executive search firm, and then at the end moved back to Turkey to help a gaming company grow and get acquired eventually. So it was a mixture of Turkey, Hawaii, US, San Francisco, and now I'm back and working with a Turkish company called AppSamurai.
Well, that's super exciting. So fast forward with App Samurai, tell us a little bit more about it. What problem are you guys solving?
AppSamurai is a company that focuses on building technologies that solve app developers' problems. So it's a sort of a when you have a new mobile app or a game, uh, first you need to acquire users. You have to grow, and once you have the users, you have to engage with them to keep them in your game or an app. And AppSamurai sort of finds these important problems that don't really have a solution on the market yet, and we build these solutions for within the mobile ecosystem. So there is a user acquisition solution, there is a mobile engagement solution. So I would say it is a portfolio of products that help app developers acquire and engage with their users.
Well, that's super exciting. And you've mentioned your current role within the organization is head of culture, people. Give us, an overview what this position entails. What is it all about? We've seen a great emergence of roles as such, especially lately. Head of diversity and inclusion, head of chief happiness officer, things like that. Just give us an overview of what falls under your purview.
Sure. This is basically I'm responsible for uh, the development of our team. So that means helping us hire more people, but also more importantly, make sure we are able to develop them into a better version of themselves. And that's sort of the culture part. So the people part involves in mostly hiring, recruiting, and then all the activities that belong to getting the best people to our company. And then the culture part that involves in design of the processes and design of the teams. Of course, it has to go hand in hand with the business model and our competitors. So it's about a understanding a wide array of different parameters and create the best sort of company culture that helps us survive and get better for ourselves. So in essence, my job is to identify people with capacity to grow and then facilitate whatever it takes for them to join us. And once they join, my focus is then challenging them to become the best version of themselves. None of us is the best version of ourselves yet. So it's a challenge. It's an ongoing process, hiring and then personal development.
Oh, that's very interesting. And definitely, especially with a lot of companies going completely virtual, I would imagine this particular role it's became of utmost importance, especially with the diversity and inclusion and people feeling part of something. I think it's very unique value proposition in terms of what you're responsible for. What are some of the trends that you're seeing in the market, especially whether from your industry perspective or from the role that you fulfill? What are the different trends that you're very excited about? What are the ideas that you're researching? Share with us those.
Sure, sure. I think it's worth here mentioning that the people and culture role. This role is built theoretically. This role is built on systems theory. Usually, human resources and talent management. It has it's a different perspective. But when we talk about people and culture, everything we do is built. The theoretical foundation is the systems theory, and more specifically, complex adaptive systems. And within complex adaptive systems, it's self-organizing teams. So in theory, we are system theorists in many ways, and the reason is that every startup and every scale up, they're a system, just like a computer is a system, a company, startup is also a system, and we have to sort of understand. We have to look at different parameters to understand really what makes the system grow, and how do we reduce our entropy and create something, create an organization that is always on the edge of innovation. So within this perspective, when everything we do is to really help people create self-sustainable teams. And in order to do that, of course, we have to there are certain parameters we have to satisfy, so that we are able to innovate, especially it's like in a very competitive industry like the mobile industry, right? So and when within this trend, systems theory, complex adaptive systems, we have research going back all the way to 1960s. And then when you look at today, we have what's called a decentralized autonomous organizations that are popping up. It's a fairly recent concept, but it's actually it makes sense based on the way things are moving all the way from 1960s to 2021 and beyond. In that we are seeing a trend towards more sort of decentralized decision making, which helps with the innovation, which helps with the agility, the adaptability of different companies. And as individuals, it is a challenge for us. It's not just now, within a decentralized organization, or even as in a startup or scale up. It's not enough to just do whatever it is that you need to do. You always need to sort of challenge yourself, understand how what I do impacts all the other parts of the system, right? So and this requires a very different set of learning and development curriculum, just so that we are able to create this new generation of companies or startups that will be able to adapt to this whole new system. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, trying to research, learn all this. How what is the continuity between the systems theory to complex adaptive systems to sort of this new decentralized autonomous organizations. These are the things that I like to read or try to understand.
Got it, got it. Very interesting insights. So you being the head of culture and people, I can't help but ask when it comes to interviewing, it's a space that's very difficult. I'm yet to see anybody be good at that because a lot of the interviews, at least from my observations, are based on that past your personal past experience, which is very flawed in the sense that you then overlook components such as what is the strength that's missing on our team, or focusing more on what are the weaknesses that we can tolerate in that particular candidate. So, from your perspective, what are some of the interview strategies that really help you succeed in this space, or as you work with your counterparts at the organization when you guys interview? How do you guys prepare? Tell us a little bit more about that process and the overall interview strategy.
Sure, but I have to say everything I tell is going to be specific to our, or probably our own industry. It's going to be specific to scale ups that are trying to grow from 5 people to 500 people. But things I say may not apply for organizations that are bigger than, let's say, 5,000 people. So that's just a preface. And the way, well, there are two different ways, there are two different schools of thought when it comes to interviewing. One of them is about based on elimination. So you have a set of criteria, you have a list of things, and then you sort of go through each candidate or each person you talk to. You go through the list and you check, okay, do they know iOS development, do they know or this specific technical skills, are they nice people, and you try to sort of talk as many people as you can, and you are trying to eliminate the ones that may not work for you. That's sort of the elimination method, and there are all, hundreds, thousands of resources on how to interview somebody based on this way of thinking. The other one, which we also use, it takes a different approach. It's a person first approach. So in our way, we understand the company, right? We understand it as a system. We understand the competitive landscape. We understand the business. We understand the types of problems we are trying to solve for our customers, and sort of the business strategy moving forward. So if you have an understanding of these things now, you can talk to everybody and look at it from a different lens, and you can say, okay, so if I'm talking to John, I don't want to interview John. I want to interview. I want to really understand what makes this person happy, and do we are we able to offer the types of problems they want to solve. Everything else, at this because at this point, everything else sort of becomes irrelevant. I've seen people learn incredible things if they are in the zone, if they understand why they need to do it, and if they understand the sort of the problems they solve, people will learn really fast. So instead of eliminating, we interview more to really understand the person first, and then try to see if we can offer things that will make this person happy. So this is a different way of looking at it. And in terms of personal traits, we are trying to understand the autonomy potential of an individual. That is to say, what type of environment do they prefer to work in? Do they need management? Like they need to be specific. They need very specific set of instructions to do something, or do they just need it's a sort of a general set of instructions, and some sort of a clear roadmap, KPIs, and are they able to figure the rest themselves? Or some people, they just need the direction, like this is the direction we need to go. These are the sort of the overarching the KPIs we are following. That's another one. Or some people are so good that they have the autonomy potential. Their autonomy potential is so high that they will actually tell you to okay, this is the goal, but look, there's a different way of looking at this, and they will be able to sort of come back to their team and explain it to them. So we are really trying to understand what makes this person happy, what's their autonomy potential. Do we have the sort of leadership we can provide them, because it's a matter of leadership. And of course, what they want to do, that's sort of the magic question, if you will. What do they want to do, and are we able to sort of provide this for them? Because if we have a match with these criteria, over the years we have seen that it works really well. And it also, people are very adaptable. That's the other thing. When you're looking at somebody and interviewing about their past, it sort of introduces a bias. This is it, talking about your past. Some people, uh, they are not aware of it, but some people will really downplay the things they've done in the past. And then for others, they are so good at telling about their achievements that it's very easy to impress an interviewer if you're only talking about the past experience. Then diversity and inclusion, these are also super important, just as an organization, to really reduce entropy of thinking. It's not only about yeah, diversity and inclusion. We really have to offer an environment where people feel psychologically safe to question things, and which ties into to innovation. Within, also with AppSamurai, we have values, and one of the values is uncomfortability. I don't know if that word really exists or not, but we define innovation is the ability to feel uncomfortable with things. So you need a healthy amount of tension and a permissive environment for people to be able to feel psychologically safe, ask questions, challenge the status quo, come up with ideas that people don't necessarily agree. So that these are the things that make a startup grow. It's not about the headcount, but it's really about how people sort of develop themselves personally. And that's why when we interview, we also try to understand the capacity. So what do they do outside of work, for instance? Or if they were a student, what were they doing when they were not studying? And these are the things that we try to see and try to understand. And if you have more questions, I'm happy to dive deeper.
No, of course, those are very, we could probably talk the rest of the episode about this particular space because it's so, it's so fascinating and interesting, a lot of different insights. Thank you for sharing that. When it comes to the actual kind of the interview process, what are your favorite questions that you love to ask? And when you do ask them, what do you look for in the responses when you interview candidates?
Sure, sure. I think the it really depends on the role, and there are all these different things we are looking for. But my favorite is just the very first one, which is like, please tell me about yourself. It it just gives us so much insight about a person, what they want to do, how they define themselves, how they when they talk about the things that they enjoy, you can see their eyes light up. Or when they talk about some of the negative experiences, you can sort of feel the impact that these experiences have on this person. So my favorite question is always, please tell us about yourself, and then just listen, and just try to understand really what makes this person happy.
Yeah, that's, unique perspective as far as the actual kind of the interview process because it's, so revealing in the sense that, it also gives an opportunity for candidate to ask, the questions for the hiring manager and make their own determination as well. So that's very interesting. When it comes to your personal content diets, what are the sources that you utilize on daily basis to keep yourself informed, educated on all things happening in your industry?
I am a huge fan of the conference videos on YouTube. It's such a treasure. Sometimes you see a super important video, like an hour long video about a super important topic, and there are only like 500 views, and which is mind boggling. This is, this person solves this really interesting engineering management problem, for instance. Or they talk about, I like watching videos from different conferences. Even if I can't attend those conferences, it's super interesting to understand what sort of mobile user acquisition strategies other people use. How do they test their creatives? How do they analyze the market? What do they do to engage with their users? And it's incredible that this data is these are out there. People share this sort of valuable information, and usually it takes, when you read when you go to college, you read textbooks. It will take at least a decade for this type of new conference information to distill down to academia and all the textbooks. So I highly recommend everybody, especially younger people, students, to really use YouTube as a great. It's almost like an encyclopedia We used to have them when I was a kid. Nowadays it's all Wikipedia and all the other sources, which is also works much better. But YouTube is incredible, and you see people talking about their actual problems, and sort of the obstacles they met, and sort of what they've done. So I'm super thankful to everybody who shares their insights on YouTube and all these other um, conferences. Sometimes the information comes from the place you expect the least. It could be, it's not just about conferences about headhunting, recruiting, or HR. Those are also very valuable, but sometimes you get you hear somebody talk about how they produced wine and what sort of problems they focus and how they resolve it, and then you can sort of take that as an overall insight and apply their solution to your other sort of problems that you're trying to solve. So I'm just totally amazed by this amazing medium for transferring knowledge, and how different solutions from different industries can be applied to our current problems and current solutions. So I would say, apart from all the research papers and everything, I'm huge fan of conference videos on YouTube.
Yeah, it can also be very dangerous going down the rabbit holes. One thing you know that you're watching videos about completely unrelated topics as well. So I can definitely relate, and that's a great source. Amri, last but not least, what are you currently reading in terms of the book, and what one book you always recommend to others, and why is that?
I think the book, I'm a huge fan of a French writer called Jules Verne. So the book I would recommend is it's not a business book. It's a journey to the moon. It's a it's a fictional novel, but and it was written back in 1800s, so it was way before we actually traveled to the moon. But it just shows a great deal of what imagination can do, and so there are thousands of very important and great books, but for me, I would say Journey to the Moon is a huge inspirational book. I also really love Isaac Asimov's books as well, like I Robot and others. Those are, and Douglas Adams, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's sort of, my age group, I guess. We sort of grow up with these books. So those are the ones that I highly recommend. And yeah.
That's great. Those are great recommendations. Much appreciated for our listeners. We'll make those titles available in show notes. Amre, I can't thank you enough for your time today. It was very short and insightful conversation. You were very generous with your insights and your the strategies they utilize. So definitely much appreciated.
Thank you. It was such a great fun to be here. Hope to talk to you soon.